The return of the blonde ninja to the Hidden Leaf Village, new gameplay concepts and a great cast of new characters. On March 24, 2009, a Naruto Shippuden game arrived in America for the first time, for the PlayStation 2 platform, Ultimate Ninja 4. The Ultimate Ninja 3 chapter had monumental support. I'm really glad you like the series as much as I like doing it. So let's begin. Just 1 year later, after the release of the most important desktop title that CyberConnect had launched so far, they had a clear objective: to be the first game to bring material, characters and stories from Naruto Shippuden. And even if that objective was reached, was it worth it as a final product? Let's find out. First of all, the game gives you a reward for having played the previous title. Good detail there. The main game modes in Ultimate Ninja 4 are Master Mode and Hero Mode. They both work in different ways, but let's first look at what the Master Mode offers. This takes place at the end of the Naruto training with Jiraiya, right at the beginning of the Shippuden story, of course. This is a format that returns to the bases uploaded in the free exploration mode by the village of Ultimate Ninja 3, but now in a much larger environment with a more elaborated level design. This is a story, feeling as weird, about a girl who wants to be the necessary sacrifice for a monster who lives on a mountain near a small village. It is nothing from another world, a pretty simple argument where Naruto of course tries to prevent the destiny of the girl and, by the way, end the monster. As I mentioned, the format is similar to exploration in Ultimate Ninja 3, so the controls feel pretty similar. We have a jump button, attack button, shuriken button, and consecutively unlock more movements. A special attack such as the Rasengan is included, which is useful when destroying walls to open a way and attack enemies with greater power. The skill system is structured around these bracelets that Jiraiya put on us at the beginning. They are supposed to be very heavy and help us to strengthen ourselves in the remains of training, something like the heavy clothes that Goku and Piccolo wear. As we progress in the story, the bracelet will change color going through white, blue, green, yellow and finally red. Each color level gives Naruto extra abilities that will be unlocked with experience level. I think that in plain sight you can see that this is the game mode to which they put the most effort in Ultimate Ninja 4, and to a certain point I did not even understand why. In a couple of hours I got it understanding. But hey, let's not get ahead of it. This mode features a map, area location system, progression, object collection, something like a story mode with high production values. The rhythm of the game feels quite according, even though on many occasions the camera's perspective is tedious in addition to having an inverted camera movement. The same graphic engine from the previous game was maintained, but it was the changes in the moveset, the inclusion of new ultimates, the new models of the adult characters, what gave this game the plus it needed to be a great success. In Master Mode I see and understand why they wanted to keep the free movement mechanics that worked for them in the past, but I still think something on a smaller scale but much more polished is always going to be better. There are many moments in the story of this game where the settings are too big for the little they contain in an area like this. Sometimes there are only boxes, vases and that's it. This makes your game feel simple with nothing to communicate to the viewer through its scenario. In the fights of this game mode, a style is inspired by the first Devil May Cry. I say Devil May Cry in the most mediocre way possible. Several enemies attack at the same time and you must neutralize them. The circle button mash is still present. The attacks are almost chained by themselves, although you can vary with jumping, shuriken launching and jutsus, so it is not always the same. The shuriken can be charged, by the way, and you also have a substitution system that activates when you cover an attack at the right time. But the combat system is so simple you can literally spend every battle spamming the circle. You have a chakra meter as in the classic combat modes developed by CyberConnect, so you should moderate how much you use the Rasengan or the jump with the clone, this being an unlockable movement to add mobility to Naruto on the path, since these levels have a lot of platforms. However, the difficulty is quite simple, although on some occasions the game will not let you advance if you do not have the necessary level or experience, so it encourages allows you to perform secondary actions to level up and continue with the story. Among the abilities that we can unlock in this jump with the clone that we already mentioned, which allows us to travel a greater distance while we jump through platforms, the Shadow Run that allows us to move faster, and much more chakra and health level. I have never been a fan of the concept of giving you back everything you have been through to get something. You need to go back to the place where you were blocked, and there, yes, it seems to me a typical way of filling up time in the story and not showing anything new for a long period of time. The NPC dialogues and interactions are quite credible and not just text because it has already been seen in other works. At the end of the story, Naruto returns to the village just as Shippuden started. So the real story beginning 4 hours after the game starts. Isn't that great? Here the same game format is returned, but going over areas of the village of the leaf and sand. We finally see again the canon characters of the series in addition to Naruto and Jiraiya. This feels like a much needed breath of fresh air at this point. Start thinking, you spent more than 3 hours in this master game mode that has not shown you anything you expected to see. Honestly, in the intro of the game, they put you a number of new ultimates and gameplay news, but you have not seen anything of that in the entirety of the first game mode you must complete. The first traditional fight you have since you start playing is in the training ground with Sakura, and by this point, more than 4 hours of gameplay have passed. However, the Aoi Girl and Shadow Monster arc was created due to the lack of Shippuden content that they could place in this portion of the story. When you move to the moment Naruto returns to the village, the story mode has a restructuring where you have a lot more items, characters, interactions, collectibles, and missions. This is what really you should have from the beginning. Here we go through the different activities in the beginning, such as snapping the jingles from Kakashi, the Idara's fight against Gaara, and the Akatsuki's eruptions against Team 7. Once we pass the no canon story mode, the amount of skills you have is also increased, and you can learn new techniques. I feel the setting of the village is much better detailed, with a palette of colors more in accordance with what the place is like in the original material, and without attaching so much to the ochre tones of the previous arc. By the way, we are talking about CyberConnect, and they did not disappoint with the execution of their cinematics in the relevant portions of the story. A display of good use of shots and great soundtrack. The game is insistent on putting fights and side quests even in the middle of a main story mission, due to this lack of canon content, looking for ways to lengthen the run. Despite these interruptions, the main battles when they arrive, they are extremely entertaining, especially if it's your first time playing a free combat. It's just what the fans wanted to see, the ultimate ninja fighting style with the completely renewed moveset of the Shippuden characters, new mechanics and new combos. This story ends right after the fight against Itachi, and right there it is cut. We did not reach to rescue Gaara or anything like that. They leave us with a post-credited scene showing all the remaining Akatsuki and leave us in the village once more for a chance to complete the side quest and unlock whatever is needed. Going on to talking about hero mode, there is a little reason why I'm not a huge fan of how they did things here. You cannot play hero mode without playing master mode. One important thing that I didn't even mention before was that on the journey you collect memory fragments which act as these keys to unlock the hero mode chapters, and it's only about the past battles we had already experienced. In addition, you must collect each one of them if you want to complete this mode 100%, so looking for fragments if you did not collect all of them. With these fragments in hero mode, you can sometimes unlock small flashbacks. Sometimes they can be fights from the past and they come accompanied by the respective dialogues and interactions. This mechanic of finding the fragments in different areas of the master mode indirectly sends us to play the game mode they want us to play instead of going to what we like at once and avoid us ignoring the master mode start. I must say that although a lot of resources recycled from past games are used, the cinematics and narrative pace of the arcs, such as the Sasuke chase, were handled in a way worth appreciating. As we already established, the controls, graphic engine, and format are the same as in the whole Ultimate Ninja Saga. Battles in 2D format, one-on-one, and a system of combos and special attacks simple and easy to chain. Now, as the great majority of the roster are new and adult versions of the characters we already knew, the gameplay feels much fresher. Once again, the command mechanic was maintained at the moment of acting and ultimate to increase or reduce damage. Now, each character had different ultimates depending on the time they activated them. If you had enough life, the last would be a special move that takes a lot of life and that's it. But if you're in a critical health level, the ultimate changes animation and occasionally leaves you in a wake up state, just like we've seen in previous games. A random mechanic was included and it appears many developers had the fever to do that. I'm not a fan of this kind of inclusion. It is a rock paper scissors system that is activated when both rivals clash in their dashes. Whoever wins this exchange will give a critical hit. It's simple. It is now about 52 characters. The new integrations actually are not many, but since the PTS characters could be used here too, it increased the cast greatly. All the characters have 3 different color skins, and you can choose the version already in Awakening of some specific characters, just as we saw in the Ultimate Ninja 3. Something that is very clear to me is reflected in the gameplay and the story is that this game, it feels that he left in a very hasty way, just for wanting to be the first to release a Naruto Shippuden game. Heck, Sasuke in Shippuden doesn't even appear in this game. Neither is Choji, Ino, Kiba, Hinata, or Shino. All were omitted because in these first arcs of Shippuden, they had almost no presence. But also because of that, there are some curious little things in this game that are quite unique. For example, Sasori has his puppet form here because he has not yet reached the point where he revealed his true self as we all know him. Some characters like Jiraiya still count on the Giant Awakening. Others like Tobirama and Itachi have definitive states and as an awakening with special abilities. All these changes between variants and character versions help make the roster much more unique, giving each character what makes them special. Ultimate Ninja 4 is not by far one of the most remembered Naruto games, possibly also because of its bad first impression being so focused on a filler arc. However, it did a lot of things right, keeping the franchise name alive, came in as one of the pioneers of Shippuden, and let the world know what these developers were still capable of. The combat system is still mashy and everything, but very entertaining if it continued to be. I would love to know in the comments what you think about this game. As always, it will be a pleasure for me to read them. Thank you so much for watching. That was all for today. Take care and see ya.